Hi, and welcome in this new video about the edition of the accounting reports. In the last video, we saw some of the accounting reports that come standard with Odoo, and we then had a look at how those reports are built. Now that we know how the reports are built, maybe it's time to have a look at how we can change the definition of those reports. So let's connect to our favorite software and have a look at the accounting. If you remember, we saw that we had some reports here under legal statement. I will have a look at my profit and loss, and you see that I already have some entries in my operating income for those two accounts. And when I'm talking about addition of reports, I'm not talking about specifically adding some data here, because you know that if I create a new invoice, let's do that. If I go into the accounting, I select, I think, one of my latest invoices. Let's select this one. I can duplicate it, then validate the invoice. And now if I refresh my profit and loss report, you'll see that the numbers will change. That's it. Here I doubled the amount. But it's not what I meant when I said that we are going to edit the reports. Here I just only changed the content of the report, but I want to change the definition. But before we dive into the report definition change, it would be wise to explain first how Odoo creates these reports when you install the accounting module or your country-specific accounting module. We saw indeed that the definition of this report could be found under the configuration, financial report, once you are in debug mode, and you can see here the report and then the definition of it by diving here into the sections. So this is the location of the definition of the report, but how does it get installed at first? Well, you would tell me that it's by installing the module of the accounting, and you would be completely right. Odoo indeed created these elements when you installed the accounting app, which is right here. This module will indeed install the accounting app with the reports that are embedded in XML, well, text files inside the module. And if I came here, it was also to let you know that there is an upgrade button that is available when you have already installed the module in Odoo. But before we dive into editing the reports in the accounting, I would like you to understand the impacts of clicking on that upgrade button. Well, for some of the information that is contained in the module of Odoo, when you click on the upgrade button, Odoo is going to rewrite the information on the records it created. So let's imagine that you made some change in some accounting reports and then you upgrade your module. Well, Odoo, having access to the records you created and thinking, well, those are my records, I created those when I installed the application, Odoo will rewrite your changes. That's the first possibility. So the side effect of these files being rewritten is that maybe you spend a lot of time editing your reports, and then Odoo will, when there is an upgrade for some modules, Odoo will write above those changes, and you will lose all the changes you brought to the reports in the accounting. That's the first possibility, and we'll have a look at that in a few minutes. There is, of course, a second possibility. The second possibility being that we explicitly said to Odoo, well, please don't overwrite those files, those records, because we know that we are going to change these. So it will depend on the module you want to upgrade, and so you have to know what's behind, what's contained in those modules in order to know, well, can I make some changes in the accounting reports, or is it forbidden? Well, technically it's not forbidden, but you will lose your changes, so it's better to refrain from making big changes if you know that those will disappear when you make an upgrade of your module. And you could be telling me, I never upgrade my modules. Well, that's possible. Maybe you don't, but just to let you know, if you are on a SaaS, we do it for you. In fact, we upgrade the modules not constantly, but we do it once in a while in order to benefit from the latest changes in the modules. And maybe if you are not on our SaaS, your database admin or your partner will do it for you as well. So let's have a look here first at some changes I will make to the accounting reports and see what happens when I upgrade the accounting module. So I'm going back to the accounting here, and I will make some stupid changes. You see here I have some profit and loss reports. I will just change the name of an item here and then maybe remove another one, and we will see what's happening in when I'm upgrading the module. So let's go into the financial reports, And in the profit and loss, let's change some name here. Maybe just change one capital letter here and say, okay, it's income written that way now. Let's save all of this. And let's go back in my reports and print the profit and loss. You can see that here, total income changed. I know it's stupid, I know it makes no sense, it won't improve your report, but it's just to show you that, of course, it's bringing a change here. But let's now bring a bigger change to this report by, let's say, removing some information inside. I won't say this is useful, but it's just to show you the kind of change you can bring to a report. We'll have the opportunity to make some real report after, but it's here just to show you something that you shouldn't be doing. I'm just removing some part of the report here. I will save this, save the report, and then ask to print it again. And here you can see that I got an error. And in fact, I did it on purpose, but it's just to show you that here, Odoo is trying to print the report, but then we make some references to part of the report that don't exist anymore because I removed it and then I saved that. If you're not aware of the kind of change that you can bring like this one, maybe you will end up having a report that is completely lost. So here, in order to show you we could make some changes on the report, I made a mistake and I completely destroyed the report. But I told you it was possible to upgrade a module and see what happens. Well, let's do that. I will have to fast forward a little bit because otherwise we'll have to wait something like maybe 30 seconds before it gets upgraded again. So I'm clicking here. So it took quite a while, something like 30 seconds to reinstall, but I fast forwarded. And now that I'm back in my database, I can have a look at my accounting report, and you will see that this time it gets printed correctly. So what I want to illustrate here is that I made some changes on this report. I won't argue about the utility of the changes. Of course, it was just changing here the case of the E and then removing a subpart of the report. But what is really important to understand is that all my changes were rewritten by Odoo, so erased by Odoo when I upgraded the module of the accounting. Of course, here it was useful because I had a traceback, I had a big error, I couldn't make anything on the profit and loss report, and upgrading the module of the accounting could make this profit and loss report work again. But of course, if I had made some big changes on this report, it would be lost as well. So this time it was for good, but sometimes it can be, well, really depressing to make lots of changes and then have this all erased by Odoo. So for this reason, sometimes it's better not to edit some existing elements in Odoo, but it's better to create new reports. So we saw here the impacts of upgrading a module. We saw that there was a good impact. If I completely mess up with my report, well, it comes clean again, but there is a bad impact, which is all the changes I bring are erased by Odoo. But it would be the same with a module that doesn't rewrite on the record it created at first. Let's imagine that, for example, I make the same changes that the one I made before. Let's go here, let's change and remove a whole part of the income. Let's save. And let's go back. You remember that we have this error. If Odoo doesn't upgrade the module by erasing, well, rewriting on the files and rewriting on the report, we will have the same situation here over again. Even reinstalling the module wouldn't change that. So sometimes there is no other solution than to know is my module going to rewrite on that specific record or not? Otherwise, you could get stuck in that kind of situation. Well, you are not completely stuck, but it will require some time and effort before we can get back to a normal situation here. Before we finish this video, I wanted to have a look at this element with you. I wanted to share the different use cases we can find when editing some financial reports. And you can see that here the output will change according to the fact that the module would rewrite or not the changes that you would bring to a report. So we discussed all of this to allow me to tell you that finally trying to edit some financial reports the way we wanted to do it in this video is not the good way to do that. Well, in fact, report edition should be avoided. What we want to do and what we will do in the next video is create new reports. It's a bit more trickier, but you will see it's maybe better, but because it's a change that will last. and it won't be erased by any module upgrade, for example. So I know the topic of this video was a bit strange because finally I'm telling you, well, don't edit reports, but sometimes it's better to have a look at the bad way of doing things before we have a look at the good way of it. So that will be the topic of the next video. And as usual, thanks for watching.